Inside the with block, it initializes the data source for inference using the provided source argument, our explorer image, if specified. Otherwise, it defaults to self.args.source. Next, we step into the setup source method. This code sets up the source and prepares for inference by verifying and adjusting the input image size. It uses the check image size method with the desired image size, 640 in our case, the model stride, 32, and a minimum dimension of 2. If the image size is an integer, it converts it to a list. If the list has more than 2 elements, it raises or logs an error. The code ensures each dimension of the image size is a multiple of the stride for compatibility with the model's architecture. In our case, 640 divided by 32 equals 20, which is rounded up, and multiplied back by 32 to remain at 640. A floor value prevents sizes from dropping below 0, and warnings are issued if the adjusted size differs from the input. Finally, it ensures the size has 2 dimensions, duplicating the value, if necessary, to create a 640 by 640 height-width pair. This code sets up data transformations for the input images based on the task type. Since our task is for detection, not classification, the transforms variable is set to none. Next, it loads the inference data source by calling the loadInferenceSource function using the specified source, a batch size of 1, a video frame stride of 1, which won't be used here, and stream buffer set to false. Let's dive into the build.py to see how the source is checked. The code checks the type of the source input, determining whether it's a file path or a URL. It then sets flags like its file to indicate if the source is a valid image. The URL, webcam, and screenshot flags will be false, so the function skips those checks and returns the image along with the corresponding flags. Since our source is not in memory, it uses the source types function to determine the type of the source, considering whether it's a stream, screenshot, image, or tensor. In our case, all those source types are set to false, so we will skip them. Then we proceed to initialize the dataset by calling the loadImages and videos function, passing our explorer image, batch size, and video stride. Let's dive into loaders.py to see more. The parent variable is initially set to false. If the path argument is a string and has a text suffix, the code reads the file and splits its contents into a list of image, video, or directory paths. The code iterates over path. For each p, it converts it to an absolute path and stores it in the variable a. It checks if a contains a wildcard, is a directory or a file. If it's a wildcard or directory, it uses glob to collect matching files. If a is a file, as in our case, it appends its path to the files list. If p is invalid or doesn't exist, it raises a file not found error. This code defines 2 empty lists, images and videos, to store file paths. It then iterates through the files list, extracting the file extension in lowercase, and checks if it matches a predefined list of image format extensions, appending the file to the images list if it does. The number of images and videos are then counted. This code initializes several attributes for the data loader. Self.files combines the lists of images and videos into a single list. NF stores the total number of files. NI stores the number of images. And video flag is used to flag videos. Additionally, mode is set to image, the video frame rate stride, and the batch size. Since there are no videos, self.cap for video capture is set to false, and we return the initialized data loader. Here, we dynamically attach a new attribute, source type, to the dataset object, and we return. This code checks whether streaming mode is disabled, self.stream is not true, and evaluates additional conditions. If the source is a stream or screenshot, the dataset contains more than 1,000 items, or if there are any videos in the dataset. If any of these conditions are true, it logs a warning message, stream warning. This ensures the user is informed about potential inefficiencies when handling large datasets or video sources without streaming. This code checks if the user has enabled saving predictions or labels as text files. If so, it ensures the required directory structure is created, a label subdirectory within savedir if save text file is enabled, or just savedir otherwise, as in our case. The makeDir method uses parents true to create missing parent directories and exist okTrue to avoid errors if the directory already exists. This code ensures the model undergoes a warm-up process before inference, improving performance for subsequent predictions. If the warm-up hasn't been performed, then warm-up is false. It calls the model's warm-up method with a dummy input tensor sized according to the batch size, one for PyTorch or Triton models, otherwise the dataset batch size, 3 channels for RGB, and the specified image dimensions. The warm-up method attempts to run a forward pass with the dummy tensor to optimize memory allocations and kernel performance, particularly for GPU or Triton-compatible devices, reducing initial inference latency. Since we are running on a CPU, the method exits early in this case. This code initializes attributes and sets up profiling tools to monitor performance during inference. The profiler's tuple contains 3 instances of the profile class, each used to measure execution times for different operations in the inference process. Each profile instance is initialized with a starting time of 0 to accumulate measured durations and the specified device. If it's a CUDA GPU device, the profiler enables CUDA-specific profiling features. This code triggers the onPredict start event by calling the runCallbacks method, executing all registered functions or hooks for the onPredict start callback. Next, it iterates through the dataset, retrieving each batch of data. When the iteration begins, it calls the dunder-iter method of the load images and videos class, which initializes the dataset object as an iterator. For the first image, self.count is set to 0 and the method returns self. The dunder next method is automatically called to fetch the first or next batch of data. This follows Python's standard iterator protocol. The code initializes empty lists for file paths, images, and metadata. The while loop continues loading data until the batch size is reached. It retrieves the file path from the self.files list using the current self.count index. We jump to the handle image files section and define self.mode to image. We proceed to the imRead function to read our BGR image inside patches.py. Here, the numpy from file function reads the raw bytes of the image file as an unsigned 8-bit integer array into memory, loading the image file's binary data. Then, using OpenCV's imDecode function, this byte array is decoded into an image in the form of a numpy array that OpenCV can process. The path, image, and metadata string are appended to the respective lists. After each image is processed, self.count is incremented, and once it reaches the total number of images, the loop breaks. This ensures that only the specified number of images are processed. And we return with those saved variables. We trigger the onPredict batch start callback event. This line unpacks the current batch of data into 3 separate variables. Then, a profiling block starts using the first profiler instance. Python automatically calls the dunder enter method to begin timing by recording the current time. Finally, we call self.preprocess with our numpy array image as the argument, marking the start of the preprocessing step. This method prepares the input image for inference. It checks if the input image is not a tensor, and if it's not, it applies pre-transformations. Let's jump there. Next, it verifies that all images in the list have the same shape. In our case, our only image has a shape of 768 by 1024 by 3 in height, width, and channel format. Then, an instance of the letterbox class is created for resizing and padding the input image before inference. Our self.image size argument is 640 by 640, which is the input size required for the neural network. The auto flag is set to true if the image or images have the same shape, and also if it's a PyTorch model, both true in our case. The model's stride of 32 is also used to influence the padding and resizing behavior. Let's go there. We then initialize the letterbox object using the provided parameters along with default values for scale fill set to false and scale up and center both set to true. The code then uses a list comprehension, a Pythonic way to transform a list by applying a function to each element. It applies the letterbox transformation, resizing and padding to each image in the IM list if there are multiple images. The result is either a single or a list of resized and padded images returned by the list comprehension. This code checks if the labels dictionary is none and initializes it. If so, it assigns the image data to IMG either from the labels dictionary or the image variable and extracts the image's shape, height, and width. Then it retrieves the new shape from either the labels dictionary or from the default value for resizing. Since our instance is a list, we skip this step. Now we begin calculating the ratios for padding.